Okay, so we're at the main square now. Just want to show you some of these quickly as we spin it round. And as always, we'll go over for a closer inspection, but look at the cathedral standing in the centre. Magnificent. Look at this in the square. Can't really see it, but under there is a bedrock foundation stones of some sort, or the beginning of something else entirely. But that just backs up the notion of lower level subterranean buildings being buried under the street level that we're at today. Just want to show you restoration work here and the difference it makes. So you can see on these windows on the side here the oscillation points at the top, stonework, and then if we come into the restoration work that's currently being undertaken on the building, you can see it's not the same. The oscillation patterns are still there, but the actual stonework that divides the patterns, this has been changed. The reason, I'm not entirely too sure, but restoration very rarely is restoring. It very rarely restores things to how they previously were. It's really just repurposing, if we're totally honest with things. Repurposing and hiding what was originally there. You notice all of the barbs points as well on the sort of stone spires, but again, this outer stonework really is just for show. It's not what the structure's made from, because that would be red Tartarian brick. But these are like power lines. It's exactly the same shape and formation that we see today on the power cables, on the system, on the electricity that we're generating. Whereas if these were harnessing, we generate electricity today, they were harnessing electromagnetic energy. We generate electricity today, they were harnessing electromagnetic energy yesterday. Size of the doors as well. The size of the doors on these structures is always enormous. It's as if giants once resided here in the realm. But that really is another story for another day altogether. Let's go and see if we can go inside here. Probably not going to be able to record. It's very rare that you're able to. See if we can just get a quick shot from here. Could you imagine? Orchestra concert inside here. Wow. Look at the pillars, columns, the resonators, the sounds that these structures are able to generate. It really is gorgeous. Look at those as well. Ornamentation points everywhere you look. Look at that. The frequencies that would come from that instrument would literally heal your organs. This is something I notice. Missing technology perhaps. Mercury, resonators, who knows. Got the barbed ornamentation. And these. Wow. The size of that thing. It's a doorknob. I mean, just beautiful. And as we spin around, as you can see, much of the same. Old world technology. Anyway guys, I'm a little pressed for time on this one, so unfortunately this is going to have to be our last point of interest here in the square. But I think we've seen more than enough to realise that this is an old world Tartarian city. Lots of Antiquotech technology, domes, spires, antennas, everything that you expect to see in a Tartarian old world. So behind me we have a really good example of how the old world could not have built such structures without some assistance. Look at the crane that they need to do renovations, or this is either being constructed today, but look at the crane. Yeah, when the old world built all of these structures on the timeline that they tell us, the lineal progression of things, they didn't have access to anything. They had no machinery, they had no tools, they had no power source. They were primitive people. Yet apparently they could build these in every city, every town, every country, all over the world. And that is just one of the reasons why the official narrative is a load of BS. Nearly got a YouTube warning. Wow guys, we're just in one of the squares here in the centre of Cluj, and some of the architecture in this square really, it is incredible. I mean, look at the rotunda, look at that surrounding the dome right there. You can see the Antiquotech as well that's actually on the dome, the swirls, the swivels, all the ornamentation points. And as I said, this entire square really is a Tartarian masterpiece. And just to confirm, underneath the rendering, red Tartarian brick. And the importance of the red Tartarian brick, well, this brick has the capacity to store energy. And there's a recent study coming from a university, I believe in Washington, where they go into great detail about these bricks, the iron ore content, ionization, ions, electricity, electrons. As far-fetched as it may sound, it's becoming more and more known. More and more information is coming to light that these buildings are old world power stations. Absolutely magnificent. We're still in this square, guys. Look at this. It is everywhere. Every shape, every size. I mean, look at the 4 smaller domes just down there on the building, on the corner of the square. We're going to go over and take a closer look. Just to give you the name of this square, guys, and I hope I'm pronouncing this right, it's Piața Avram Iancu. Piața Avram Iancu. I'm sure if you come to Cluj, you will find it right next to the main square, but this square, really, the architecture is on every single corner, and the evidence of the lower levels as well on almost all buildings. We've got a twin tower there, the spires, antenna, and a huge building behind this magnificent cathedral in the middle. Look at all of the indentations and ornamentation that is on the dome itself, the resonator. Then you have the rotunda, the huge one running around the base of the bigger dome, and then another one on the dome on top. Again, indentations, ornamentations all around it, geometric patterns, flow lines, the pillars themselves, magnets, all feeding down from the antenna that would have been connected in some capacity with the ether, the atmospheric energy, generating huge amounts of electromagnetic free energy. These structures are old world power stations. And there we have, as you can see, worldwide spraying goes on all over the world. Nowhere excluded. That is how you know the world is very much in unison with certain aspects, that being one of them. I've just noticed something really interesting here, guys. I'm going to give you a few seconds to see if you can clock it yourselves. Can you see it? Look at the evidence of the repurposed door there on the left. You see the door on the left and the windows on the right on the same column? That used to be a window, because this isn't the original street level, as you can tell by the basement windows there. And that door right there used to be just like that window right there. You see it? And that is how easy it is to repurpose windows into doors. Woo! Fire engine. Anyway. And there you have it. That is how easy it is to repurpose the new street level. The repurposed door on this old red Tartarian brick building. You can see the lower level windows. See where the girl's walking up now to the repurposed door. And these interesting Antiquotech points up on the roof. This building behind me, you can see we've got one of the made up dates on, 1885, just to fit in with the timeline of events, but it's the ornamentation above the date on the building that has got my interest, because I would suspect that that ornamentation was on every single building, but it's very easy to remove something of that size, but it's not so easy to remove the domes, to remove the spires, the antennas, these kind of things. Well, the antennas is a little bit easier, but not the domes. And I would say that is why we find most of these old world buildings that we know are old world buildings from the structure themselves, but they don't have the ornamentation still on. Some do, but nowhere near the amount which would have been here when these structures were built. This is an old world Tartarian city for sure, because this architecture really is everywhere. Just beautiful. Beautiful city, beautiful country. Merci Romania. Little example of what I'm saying, it would be easy just to remove that ornamentation point. But these two dome towers with all of the Antiquotech that's on them, not so easy to remove. I was just about to bring your attention to the mound. This structure is on a mound, which is a common theme that we see. And I was going to suggest that there are lower levels to it. So I walked round to the other side of the structure, and there we have it. Lo and behold, lower level entrances. So this is really where the main door is on this side. But again, you can see the mound. You can see where the dirt is leading up to that level. But there is an entrance at a lower level. And again, I would suspect that it goes even lower. This is all we're dealing with, really, with these old world structures. It's just basement levels. Very easy to get away with. Well, it's just got a basement. That's what they done. They built basements. But as many people have been able to document and show us, when they go into some of these places with urban exploring or underneath the manholes, these kind of things, there are full-blown streets underneath the street levels that we're using today. And structures like this that would have been around at that time, this is just repurposed levels, what we're dealing with here. Many subterranean levels to the old world structures. There is the Opera House. Hopefully the sunlight is allowing you to at least see some of the details. You can see the statues that have been placed on top of the two towers. I suspect that the domes have been removed off that one, and they were much like these two. You can see where they're doing renovation works on the Opera House right there, and they are building a mound up to the door level. I've already observed at the other side some lower level windows, so we know that it definitely goes lower, and that to me just feels like covering up, just repurposing of what is there, because opposite at the side of this Opera House, it's an interesting lower level section that I'm going to show you right now. Other side of the road from the Opera House, so you can see the steps up. Basement windows, let me just show you these, how deep this is. Wow. You see that? And then what they've done is with these windows, they've just become the doors to that floor. Perhaps, let's say it was an apartment building, for instance, and that would be fourth floor. Now it's become the entrance point to the building, with the steps up and still with the access, as you can see below. The video I was showing you at the beginning with the huge crane that was assisting them in that construction. How would you put some of these domed resonators on top of these buildings unless you had technology, power, assistance, something to help you to do it? It's just not possible to be able to build these kind of structures without some assistance. And this is why the historical narrative really is one big made up version. Wow, look at those domed resonators. Look at the antennas. You can see where the horseshoe magnets as well have been filled in. And also this is a rendering anyway, it's a facade that is on the front of this structure. As we find when we go underneath, red Tartarian brick. Just a short distance from where we were in the square. Wow, look at the antennas as well, just still standing on the building there. And of course, the domed resonator. Gorgeous to see. And as you would expect, lower level windows. And on the opposite side of the street, we have the exposed red Tartarian brick under the rendering, the facade. And there we have it. Wow. You just can't see how deep that all really is. Amazing. What has happened to this brick as well? Really? Very interesting. Is this what happens when you take away the exterior, the facade, the cover-up? But it's been put on with such intensity that it literally rips the brick, destroys what is underneath. Because that is what it looks like. See where the oscillation points would have been as well, where the stained glass windows are normally put in. It's not a window, it has a pattern of some sort in there, but not as geometric or extravagant as some of the other ones sees, but the ornamentation points next to it as well. This is a reoccurring theme that I've seen all around the world. "1568 Bistro." Is that the date that building was constructed? Is that the date that building's been there? Because if it is, the date on the building back in the square, which is some 300 years after, just proves how ridiculous that all is, you know? Just to fit in with the timeline, these 1850s, 1830s, 1820s, all to fit in with the historical narrative that has been presented to us. Wow, we've just come to this little busy intersection, just a short, maybe 200 meters from the two squares that we were looking at. And on each corner of this intersection, get a load of this. Wow. Hopefully the sunlight is not destroying the view there for you. You've got another one as well in the distance there, just from the river. Going to give you a better angle, hopefully from the shade, so you can really see the level of details, because on this one we've got the oscillation points on the spire. So we'll get over there and take a closer look. I mean, really, that domed resonator. Look at the level of detail. Why would you build something as extravagant as that if it had absolutely no purpose whatsoever? It even looks like technology. And that, my friends, is because it is. It is Tartarian technology from the old world. Very difficult to get a good angle for this building, guys. But if you can see on the towers right there, we've just got a little bit of shade, a little bit of cloud cover, which is helping. Can you see the oscillation points on each tower? No glass in there. Also looks like horseshoe style magnets. Turned into windows, spires, antennas, quite a few antennas actually on this side. All of the hallmarks of an old world energy building, Tartarian. Everything that you would expect to see. Also see all the antenna points around the building. It really is the level of detail on these domed resonators that is the giveaway. And hopefully there we can get another shot of just how many spires, antennas, Antiquotech is in this busy intersection. Beautiful Tartarian architecture. Technology, in fact. It's not architecture, is it? It's technology. I've just come to the side of the river here to give you a shot of this building, and you can see the oscillation point clear as day there on the tower. Geometric formation, and also the windows in the shape of the horseshoe style magnets. The oscillation point being for the movement of ions, electrons. This is the electromagnetic process. And look at that technology in the background. I mean, really, you would not build something like that unless it served a purpose, and these buildings certainly served a purpose. These are the old world power stations.